Enough of that nonsense. Real world stuff. Let's
talk about the real world.
Well, this isn't even the real. This is like the fake world of the fake world.
Well, there's the real world. There's the simulation we're living in, and then there's what we're going to talk about today. And what we're going to talk about today is the very first episode of Marvel's What If, which you saw probably the moment it came out.
Yeah, I watched it that night at 3:00 in the morning.
And I finally started to be able to watch TV 2 days ago, so I watched it last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Immediate takeaway. Holy shit, that animation. And I'd have watched an hour and a half of that.
Oh, that story? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're not done with Captain Carter. I have a feeling we're going to see... We might even see that in live action somewhere.
Part of me wanted to be...
She's so young that, like, having been in Marvel for a decade, she could still do all of this.
No, she could absolutely come back, yeah. They could do something with that live action.
But I'm saying she could do, like, that an active role like that. She's not like RDJ, who's in his, like, 50s, you know what I mean?
Some of the shit that she was doing in the show, I'm sitting there and I'm like, some of this is more badass than anything Cap did.
Well, because it's animated. It's animated, so you can do more interesting stuff.
But no, like when she just those first two vehicles are coming up, and she just takes the shields like "fuck you" and just launches it over her head. I'm like, I'd love to see Steve Rogers do shit like that.
Well, look at it this way. Look at it this way. In theory, all things considered, as they were, I think. Like, remember, Steve Rogers was genetically a scrawny weakling.
And she was already an accomplished
She may not have been, like, jacked, but she was definitely physically fit and trained and knew some fighting and some stuff like that.
Ben, let's be real.
So
she's a female in World War II, a higher ranking female in World War II. That bitch is strong.
Well,
both mentally and physically.
Mentally, yes. Physically is whatever. She's not running... I doubt she's running obstacle courses every day, but my point is that she's coming from a stronger foundation, I think.
I agree with that.
And has more knowledge in fighting than he does. He's, first of all, the animation is fantastic.
Flawless.
It's fantastic. I love the style. It's beautiful.
Is all the What If the same style?
I assume so.
Oh, okay.
I hope the talk was Marvel was going to have an in-house animation studio. I hope it's these guys.
Fuck, man. Pay them all the money.
Yeah. The other thing is, yeah, so I think she's stronger. Captain Carter might be stronger than Captain America, because if all's equal, and if she was stronger than Steve Rogers was when they were both pre-Vita Ray and Super Serum, and both were like, and you just, either one you're multiplying by 300.
Yeah.
Well, she started with a higher number.
Because he didn't start to use his body to its fullest until he became Cap. She was already using her body to the fullest, then became.
It's not using it to the fullest. It's just she's genetic. He was such a scrawny weakling.
But he wasn't athletic or anything. And she was obvious. You know.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. It was great. I wasn't clear. Was it Chris Evans doing the voice?
No.
Okay.
No.
It was close.
It was
close enough that I had to guess.
Well, they obviously, if they're going to use other people that were the same, that the people they can't get, they're going to have to get lookalike. You can't just have a random voice that doesn't sound like someone.
Can we have the animated adventures of Howard Stark? Because he was the best side character in that entire show.
I mean, he was like that in the cat. I mean, you probably didn't watch Agent Carter, but this was...
I didn't.
This was, it was him and her in that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jarvis. Like the real Jarvis was in that. The animation style... I want to say this right off the bat. I know that a lot of people, were like, especially when you do like the Marvel comparison to DC with all this stuff, they go, yeah, Marvel's got the better run of movies, but DC's kills it in the animated stuff. I'll tell you right now, What If immediately changed that? Immediately you have to, I would say, Marvel is the better animated product with only one issue, one episode of one series. And I'll tell you why. DC's cartoons or animated features or whatever you want to call them, the style's crappy. I never liked the animation. It's that basic, simple TV style for quick turnaround and stuff. And all of the fucking stories are right out of comic books. So it's, if you, with slight revisions for the media.
Yeah, things are changed around to make it easier to consume.
But not much. That if you read the comic, there's no point in watching the cartoon. In one episode, you have brand new storyline. No one wrote a what if comic book. What if Peggy Carter became the super?
Yeah, this is all new consumption,
and the animation's better.
I will say this: coming from somebody who really enjoys DC's animated department, there's some good stuff.
They
out
don't
there,
provide this,
but you're spot on with the originality aspect of it. And if this is Marvel's first foray, if episode 1 is just an inkling of what we have to come, DC, man, yeah, you're about to be blown out of the fucking water.
I was never a fan of, and it's with the TV stuff and movies, of when you're making something based off something that already exists, I'm more of a fan for changing it, as long as you do a good job changing it, because I've already read it. There's no reason for me to see verbatim the thing I've already seen or heard or read.
I've always been a fan of the DC stuff, and they've always, to me, had, up until this point, they've always had the stronger animated stuff, and like the Justice League Unlimited.
It's good if you haven't read all the comics.
Yeah,
like I know all those stories already. I don't have to watch the animated series
and
or the animated episodes.
Some of it. Though here's the thing with DC, a lot of it's hit or miss. It just really depends. Some of it's good, some of it's not. Some of it's good in parts. It's weird.
But I'm separating it from, listen, like the TV cartoons that are serial. That's different because that is original stuff. I'm talking about when DC puts out these like animated movies, is what I'm comparing it to.
No, that's what I'm comparing it to, because you can't judge it based off whatever.
The series are good.
Yeah, all the series are good because it's all pretty much original.
Right.
Yeah,
but they were well written also.
Oh my goodness, Justice League Unlimited is still probably the best version of that concept. To date, but no, like even like Batman, the Long Halloween, dude, I just couldn't get into it. It's one of those. You're right, Ricky. The animation and it just doesn't. Nothing ever jives right. And I
read the comic,
and I did.
So
Natalia pointed out though that the animation reminded her of that short-lived MTV Spider-Man show. I never watched it, but she goes, "Oh, that's what the animation reminds me of." So if anyone out there, has seen that, and that's a light bulb that goes off, let us know. But I never did watch it. I think it had like a very short run, like 99, 2000, something like that. Coincided with, I think, the first movie's release.
Yeah, I don't know.
But she said the animation reminded her real of that. And look, if that's the case, then Hollywood has been dropping balls, man, because holy shit, I'd watch a lot of stuff with that kind of stylization and the fluidity. It was perfect, man. It was really flawless.
The only thing I thought might have got distracting after a while was that they did do a little bit of like the bright lights or whatever. Sometimes had that J.J. Abrams.
Oh, the lens flare?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Just a little bit, not much. But it was such a good story, and they were really true to the characters.
I felt weird about the tentacle monster.
I liked it because it was like I love the swerve that like apparently no one had been in contact with the tentacle monster to make sure everything was cool on his head. Because the mastermind that brought it through.
You're gonna have this big throwdown between Captain Carter and Red Skull, and he's like, "Ha ha, we're here!" Oh, I'm dead.
That was a good.
That was awesome.
Turn.
And it was actually a little like it happened, and when they squished it, you were just like, "Oh, damn,
yeah,
damn."
Well, they needed to create something that wasn't. They were kind of paralleling the original Captain America story, so you needed something that, quote, put her on ice for 70 years without being exactly the same dumb thing. So whatever, this worked for a MacGuffin or whatever you want to call it.
It was fine. It was fine because you're right. It was just a thing to get from point A to point B.
It was like, here comes Cthulhu.
It really did remind me of Hellboy, though.
And if we let it get out, we're all fucked. And so she pushes it back in, and then it's almost like she jumps right back out. It's like no time had passed for her.
How about Steve Rogers, the Iron Man?
Yeah, this was cool. You know what's funny was I forgot that Stark put the cube as the power source in that thing. So then later when Red Skull had it, I'm like, how did he get the thing? Didn't he plop it on that general's desk? How did Red Skull get it? And then I watched it a second time, and I still, I must have gotten up for a drink or something. And I was like so confused. And then it dawned on me that, oh, right, he uses the battery for the Iron Man suit. The Iron Man suit was cool. I loved
the Howling Commandos were great.
Yeah. It sounded like they brought the same guy back for what's his name, the one with the mustache.
The guy's name who's been in everything, he's been in everything. We can never remember his name.
Oh, the actor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bucky had some of those fun callbacks.
I almost pulled my arm out of my socket.
He wasn't fond of the train, and you almost took my arm off.
The only thing I really missed was a back reference to the fondue incident. But then I realized, we're not going to get some kind of backwards fondue reference because Steve was already Cap at that moment. Yeah.
So I also thought at one point they were going to do where he got blown up in the train, and then you were going to find out that
he becomes a Winter Soldier.
That he becomes a Winter Soldier, but they weren't going to tell that whole story.
It was weird.
That's a 1950s Cold War thing.
And that was here's my one,
which was fine.
Here's my one negative about the episode, and it's not a negative. It's just maybe it's me wanting to consume more of it. As I was like, they're rushing everything, man, and I keep reminding myself, I'm like, this is just an episode, man. This isn't a whole movie. But I want it to be so bad. Well, it was that good.
The perfect thing was, well, first of all, back to having Steve blow up, and then it was a perfect foil to get him to the castle. So, and to get the cube there and all that. So it was fine.
And it had that same emotional beat.
But here's the thing about it being rushed, is that this was the nature of the original comic book, was that you got one issue to retell an entire history of someone because something changed.
That's fair.
So it was exactly the same thing.
Okay.
Where if they chose, now sometimes it was what if this happened, and it was a short story because it was only something like Kree Skrull War or some Korvac thing or something. But so other times it was like this one. It's a bigger arcing story, and so it has to fit all that in, and it did a pretty good job doing that. Yeah, you could have expanded to an hour and a half and made it a movie. But then I think then we would have felt like some of the devices and some of the things they would have put in to expand it would have been a little too much filler.
And hearing it that way, I understand where you're coming from, and you're right. It does seem like you're reading one serial issue of a comic.
Right.
That's just telling
because the next episode of What If was the next story.
Yeah, so you're right. And in that terms, it was perfect.
Now that's not to say that now I didn't just read 5 episodes of a What If story with the symbiote costume and Spider-Man and the when he first comes back and a different turn of events, and they decided to tell it over 5 issues. But the original run of the comic was the first episode was what if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four, and there was 1 or 2 episodes that were 2 stories, and so they were much shorter. I always remember one of the classic covers was what if Conan was stuck in the 20th century.
Oh, wow.
And it was a really cool, painted cover by Bill Sienkiewicz. And what's ironic is that right now Conan is stuck in the 20th century Marvel. He's part of the Savage Avengers. And he's acclimated himself well to the 21st century. Because I guess Marvel got the rights to start doing the Robert E. Howard Conan comic.
That's cool.
And they decided to, incorporate him into this. And they're his classic. Back in the 90s, I think it was, or early 80s or late 80s, they did a 2-part X-Men story where Kulan Gath, one of the big villains, sorcerers in the Conan lore, actually came to Marvel's 20th century and turned everything into kind of medieval stuff and was trying to take over cities. So you had the Avengers and the X-Men, like in the tunnels, and in the Island Manhattan became like medieval Conan times. And so you had like Captain America, but dressed like, but he had a sword and a shield, and it was really cool. But it didn't have Conan in it, which was weird. And then Kulan Gath was like a character that was sort of in the Marvel universe, popped up maybe one other time, but now he popped up and is like this big villain. And Conan's been like working with Venom and Wolverine and Elektra and Doctor Strange trying to stop this motherfucker.
Yeah.
And he's just like, he takes what he wants. He fucking kills people. He found the old Hellfire Club. That's an abandoned building. He's just been living in there, wearing their like frilly shirts and
that's kind of fantastic.
Swashbuckler shit.
That's kind of fantastic.
And like, just drinking and hanging out. It's really cool stuff. But anyway, back to What If. So
how about Jeffrey Wright as voice of Watcher? That was great.
Except that when I think when I first saw that he was listed as like, when you're just seeing like things, you're reading things out there on the internet, for some reason, even though it said Jeffrey Wright, in my head I thought Stephen Wright.
Ben.
And then I'm like, I'm picturing it being narrated by Stephen Wright, and I was like, actually, it's not terrible. It's just the monotone.
Yeah, no, it
wouldn't have been that bad.
Thinking of it right now in my head, the very first intro.
Jeffrey Wright was a home run.
Yes, absolutely.
But Stephen Wright wouldn't have been a fucking bust.
That would have been great.
Because I keep thinking of like, remember Reservoir Dogs? He did all the DJ stuff on the radio.
That's right, he did.
So I'm thinking of it because that's the only like, I'm thinking of that because that wasn't like comedy. That was just him reading and introducing like albums and giving a little bit of trivia. And I was thinking of that type of style of him reading those lines. It wouldn't have been bad.
I don't even know if he still works in Hollywood.
I mean, I'm sure he does. How does that guy not do voice work?
But then I think to myself, I'm like, if Marvel were to call any human being on the planet, the answer is probably yes.
Well, and Jeffrey Wright,
even non-actors, if Marvel called us, we'd be like, yeah, sure. Oh, Ben,
yeah,
performance institutes.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jeffrey Wright ends up doing some acting in the.
Absolutely should.
As a character.
Absolutely should.
But
Commissioner Gordon there.
So two of my favorite things in this episode of What If was they gave her a slightly different fighting style from him. I don't know if you noticed it.
Oh, absolutely. She was way more vicious, man.
No. There was not the intensity and stuff. Yeah, but that also probably comes from her training. Mm-hmm. She did where she would hold the shield at its end.
Oh, that's right. Use it like
and use it as like an extension of her arm. So she would have like her finger gripping the lip of it and swinging it around like that, which I thought was really cool.
She 100%
because you never saw that ever do that.
Not in a comic or anywhere.
So I really liked consciously, because that's what I mean. They probably like hired a choreographer or something to give her a different fighting style from him.
How do we separate the two?
Right, and giving her the sword, I think going forward is fantastic. Why wouldn't she have a sword? And a handgun.
I just wish she wore a fucking helmet. It's like, you're not bulletproof, man.
Yeah, but the helmet's not. It's.
But can we call back? She fought dirty as hell.
Yeah,
I love the big blonde Nazi.
When she attacks his joints.
Oh my goodness, it was so good. It was so good.
But that's part of training is that she has combat training that Steve didn't have. So
she would know to do all those things.
Right, she would know that every time. And Steve had it later. Like when you watch, the best example of it is
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, when he storms the boat. Mm-hmm. Every action. Every hit is like designed to put the person down, not to like have a drawn out fist fight with every person he encounters. And when he threw that shield, it almost always accomplished more than one thing.
Yep.
Before it returned back to his hand. That her was like, we didn't get into that much.
You know what she reminded me of? She reminded me like if if you were like, you're just somebody, you always have that, man, this entire process is going on trying to pick a super soldier, and she in her head was like, if I ever got this is exactly what I would do and how I would be A, B, C, and D. Because it was like, there was no learning curve. She got superpowers, was like, oh, I'm about this,
right.
And like Natalia was like, no training. I'm like, she's been doing this since the beginning of the process.
Yeah.
She's had plenty of time and plenty of guys talking to her face. She shouldn't be in the room, telling her she shouldn't be involved.
Also, if you had a 90-minute movie, that's where you would fill in things like...
Oh, expand that idea, yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
where there's no one, like she's a woman, so she's frozen out of everything, except for that the people whose respect she's earned have taken upon themselves to train with her and include her so that... the baddest of the bad in the room never are demeaning to women and stuff, and they're going to be the ones that would accept her in the dojo or in the firing range or whatever and work with her
at the end
and recognize how good she is.
At the end, when they're at the war table and he speaks up, the general guy, and she's like, "You're just lucky to be in this room." I was like, "God damn, ain't that a payoff?"
Yeah. I liked the montage when they're in the air. When she's riding him, they have that handle for her to grab on.
When she fights fighter jets?
And, well, I was going to say, when she's like no parachute, flying through the air, and she ducks behind the shield and goes through the propeller, crashes through the propeller, then grabs onto the side of the cockpit and the wing there, and wow, that shot of her like flying through the propeller was really cool.
There were parts. Here's the line that
not flying between the blades, just crashing through
it. They walked that line of how durable can a human being be with that serum in their body without it being okay. Now you're just getting cartoonish. They walked that really fun because there were moments like that moment where I'm like, bro, like but you're still a human body.
Yeah, but that's not. You're behind the shield.
Yeah,
the shield's doing the work. What they didn't show you is her taking punishment.
Mm-hmm.
There's no durability to it.
Yeah.
It was just showing her strengths and her abilities. It wasn't like there was no "I can do this all day long" moment.
Yeah.
She didn't get beaten down at all once that I remember.
It was a little on the Mary Sue side.
No,
but it's not in the same capacity because, like I said, this is somebody who the entire process of the serum has had an opportunity. We all do it. Like, hey, if you had super strength, what would you do? How would you be? We all have had those thoughts.
No, but it's not that. It's that she's a trained combat.
Yeah, well, yeah,
she's a trained combat agent.
But she knows exactly what she was going to do, and it was brilliant. It was funny to me because I was like, kids can't watch this. Every Nazi is dying in the most vicious and horrific way possible. Nobody's surviving any of this. I loved it personally.
Yeah, well, they're throwing grenades into tanks. It's not...
No, just fuck all that.
And shooting people.
If she put her hands on you, you're DOA. Any of those Nazis
but they're not
survive?
showing her ripping people in half.
They don't have to, Ben.
But you're saying, like, for kids. It's not that kids couldn't see their...
Yeah. I mean, this isn't obviously fucking Suicide Squad.
Right.
It was wonderful. I loved it. I loved every aspect of it. I loved that he's like, I will never talk. Well, he told me everything. Yeah. I would definitely love to see her revisited down the road in some capacity, even if it's still animated.
I feel like I feel like I read somewhere that these characters, like this series, might kind of be interconnected in some way. It may not all be one universe, but like maybe because of the Loki thing, that we're going to see a little bit of revisitation to these characters within even the series. I don't know.
The next episode is going to be a heart twister, man.
Well, I mean, again, maybe I'm just dead inside, but just hearing someone's voice.
Well, you are dead inside.
Isn't going to make me like cry that much.
It's not. It's not going to be the voice of the performance. It's just the knowledge that this was it. This was like one of the last things he did.
No, it was the last thing he did.
Oh, it was it? I
think so. Because it was voiceover work, I think he.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's like when I listen to some of the last Queen stuff, and I'm like, this is like the last time Freddie Mercury's voice was recorded, and it's still great. But you just think back and you're like, man, it's got a little bit more to it. So
yeah, that one looks good. I forget. I don't know what the third one was.
I honestly don't know any of them.
I think I remember
I don't think I paid attention
remember
to any of the what if stuff.
They put the first 3 out for people to review, non-spoiler, and I forgot what the third one is about. I know that the Marvel Zombie one is not one of those, so we got that coming. I don't know what else. I don't know if they showed hints. I know Doctor Strange starts popping up or something, but I don't know if we've seen scenes from all the episodes. I almost think they might throw us a loop with like introducing someone, not like a character, different version of a character we know, but introducing someone we've never seen.
I paid zero attention to the whole entire process of this what ifs. So everything I'm seeing for the first time. So I'm really fresh.
I've watched the teaser trailers.
And I didn't watch any of that. So like I see this Chadwick Boseman thing. I don't know what the hell it's about, but I'm really excited. I think
it's him.
He gets chosen instead of Peter Quill, right?
Yeah.
So and that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
I'm really excited where they go with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Marvel absolutely home run. I mean, we keep saying that, and then we can talk about how the Shang-Chi reactions are coming out, and people are putting it over. Like,
yeah, they had some kind of premiere last night, and some of the people that do the reviews and stuff on social medias went and saw it, and obviously they can't say anything specific.
So it feels weird to always say.
But I'm saying that people that I know usually have different takes on things and have differing like opinions on the quality of stuff are all like almost in unison saying Shang-Chi or however you want to say it, is like not only a game changer but a home fucking run.
I fucking hope so, man.
Like a home run.
Because with that whole Bob I can't spell his last name or pronounce it. Shabek, whatever his last name is, the guy who heads Disney. He was so dismissive. He's like, it'll be an interesting experiment, and I'm like, this is like one of the biggest Asian American cinema movies that they've ever made.
But is it an experiment on the Asian cast front or on the only in theaters front?
No, it's on the only theaters front, but the way he phrased it and the way he spoke of it made it seem like the other thing.
I understand, but maybe it wasn't, and people who are looking to be offended found something to be offended.
And I
don't know.
And I feel as if
I don't know either way.
I feel as if you're the guy running Disney, you're 100% in tune with that.
I think this guy's not.
He's obviously not, because on the other side, not just
he's not
like screw the movies.
He's not the last guy.
Like screw movies and all that stuff. Like just as a lifelong Disney fan who goes to the parks, his involvement since Iger stepped down and he took over, it's way more of a capitalist mindset. Everything has shot up 40% in price.
Is the timing is hard to nail it down to being just that, because wasn't this exactly over the same time that they got hit with COVID?
So they're
trying to like recoup profits.
So you have COVID,
like and cut costs.
You have COVID, and that absolutely takes into account a lot of the changes that have been made.
Yeah, so it's hard to like.
There's some fundamental changes they've done, the philosophical changes they've done with their way, their price pointing, experiences and stuff that is not Disney traditionally.
Right.
And outside of COVID, you can tell they're moving in a different direction.
How does it work when you go to the park? Is the Star Wars area part of Disney World?
Yes.
So it's for the same price.
So you
now have a whole nother land.
You buy a 1-day ticket, or you buy the ticket to go to Hollywood Studios, and it is a part of Hollywood Studios. So you can go in there.
Also, it's Hollywood Studios.
But there's other things inside, like the lightsaber stuff, that they're all different experiences at different price points.
You mean like for product?
Yes.
Well, that's
not experience with product.
That's that's another thing.
But
I'm saying like, so I understand like increasing prices when they add a whole new, like a whole, like they're adding like acres and acres of things to do.
And I don't think
I understand some of that.
Yeah, because like you're not wrong. And obviously, with just, as the world...
It's not like all of Star Wars land was something else. They tore it down and made it Star Wars land.
It was something else.
Not all of it.
Yeah, it was.
What was
it was the Great Movie Ride. It was most of the New York area. I think they saved the Muppets area. It was the Backlot Tour.
So every square inch was something else before?
Yes. I don't think there's very like.
Oh, okay.
Like there might be a little bit of the back lot that's
I feel
new.
like everything they tore down was shit anyways.
It was
that
just
nobody cared about.
It wasn't that. It's just a lot like when Hollywood Studios was MGM Studios when it was first brought in the early 90s when it first opened. It was made as a direct competitor for Universal Studios. That's why there was a tour. Like they used a lot of elements of Universal Studios because Universal was opening up down here. And Disney was like, no, this is our area. So it's just a competitive thing where they just opened a park to could directly compete with Universal. And then over the years, it's evolved into its own thing. And like Universal's even gotten away from the where you. At first, it was experience the movies. Like we'll shoot movies on site. You get to see how movies are made and all that stuff. And just the way that the world works now where you can see how movies are made in an hour by watching YouTube videos.
Well, they have studios,
but they don't shoot on site anymore. There's no more like shooting shows like they
do. No.
But very limited. It used to be like Nickelodeon Studio shot everything on site. Universal would shoot a lot of stuff on site. MGM, Disney shot a lot of their stuff on site. It's so much less now. Like a lot of like especially Disney's a lot of their stuff is just concentrated on in-park experiences now. Like Universal, I don't think. I mean, their studios every now and then like wrestling, or every now and then they'll have something.
Blue Man Group.
Yeah, Blue Man. Oh man, I love Blue Man Group. So they'll have stuff, but it's not like it was where there's like this revolving timeline of shows and stuff. Because I remember as a kid going through one of the tours, and you got to see the entire Mortal Kombat series set. And we were there as they were filming B-roll. So actors, you're in a big room with windows, and you're looking down on the set and the actors and everything. And like they're between takes, everyone's just wandering around in period stuff, and you get to see how the sets are built and stuff. Their TV shows, game shows were filmed there.
Yeah, I never went to any of that stuff.
That was all cool, and I still love that stuff. I would watch
like the stunt shows and. And the rides, that was all I
But nowadays, people only go to the parks for rides, and the big thing now is food festivals at the parks. So both it started with Epcot and the Food and Wine Festival, and now fucking every park has yearly festivals where they do food and stuff. Busch Gardens has like Beer Fest. Is it Busch Gardens Beer Fest? I think it's Busch Gardens has Beer Fest. Universal's like Mardi Gras. So everyone has their own thing now. Seasonally, and like Epcot now is a point where throughout the year there's some kind of festival going on. They never leave those food booths closed for very long in between seasons, and it's just profitable for them. I mean, that's a big reason. A lot of people go a lot of people go to these parks now, not even to ride the rides or experience. They just go to drink, and eat stuff that they can't experience anywhere else, like foodies. And it's a very expensive experience, if you ask me, because it's not like, hey, I paid my $135 to get into this park, and now I can eat and drink whatever I want. Like, bro, a little steak is $8. A drink is $13. An alcoholic beverage is about $10, $13. Like, you used to be when me and the wife would go throughout the year, we would just set aside change. I would set aside like $400 to go to Food and Wine Festival because that's how much it costs to have like a full experience. When you're on there and you're walking around the lake and doing all the little stuff, it's expensive. So yeah, it's weird to me that that would be like a foodie destination, but they don't seem to care, man. They opened that new Star Wars hotel, and it's like $6,000 for like 4 people for a night and a half. And I'm on an annual pass holder group, and 90% of the group is like, this capitalist agenda is ruining us wanting anything to do with these parks. And 10% of the group's like, I don't give a fuck, they've got my money. And that's what that's what Disney cares about. And
they're only there to make money.
And Orlando and all the theme parks in Orlando, Universal, Disney World, SeaWorld, all those parks, they're not local theme parks. It's not like in Ohio where you have, theme park or two, or you have Hershey Park in Pennsylvania where it's 90-10 locals versus outsiders. It's 90-10 at Disney World, Orlando. It's 90-10 people from overseas and 10% like Florida locals. Which is why I felt it weird that they took the annual pass holder program down, because I'm like, that's not your revenue. Your revenue is a Swedish family that set aside $30,000 to spend a week at Disney full boat. Like they rent the cast members to go around and get in front of all the rides and do the tours. They stay in the best hotels where it's like $2,000 a night. That's 90% of their revenue. And then obviously with COVID, that got cut dramatically. I still don't know if do we still have a travel ban? Because I haven't kept up. In Florida, everybody, it changes almost hourly.
I think they might have just reinstituted something for Europe where we can't get in anymore. Because it's just like someone lit a match here and it's just fucking the world's burning here. So
Jesus, it's we're the infected thumb of the United States right now.
No, the whole United States. The whole United States is red. It's all burning.
There's people that wish it was all red.
That's why I think they're banning us from going back to Europe right now.
But it's just really cool because like back in like 10 years ago, not only would like one of my favorite experiences at the parks, and this ties in directly, like it would have been cool to see like, all right, we know that these shows are coming out, but if you go to the parks, you can do a behind-the-scenes tour where you're watching the production of these shows as they happen. Like as a kid, I remember going through MGM Studios, now Hollywood Studios, and there was a tour where you could see the next 5 years of Disney animated movies and the various stages of production that they were in. And it was always really exciting because you'd forget, and then 3 years later, a trailer would come out and go, holy shit, I saw the pre-production. And like, oh, they changed all this stuff, but this looks phenomenal. Like, imagine being able to go and see them all working on the different stages of the next 5 years of Marvel projects, whatever they might be.
Those never let that out.
No. Everything's in the middle of the cuff right now. It's crazy, and we haven't seen it, and man, when we had a very short conversation about going to the movies because I really want to see Shang-Chi, we need to review it, but I also want to see Free Guy because I've heard really good things about that movie.
Well, you're not allowed to.
No, not with the baby.
You're not allowed
I can't.
To do anything.
With the baby, I can't. There's no way.
This is gonna
just me coming over.
This is a kink in the hose for this podcast.
But just to me come over here and do the podcast, like this is the first one I've been able to do since the baby was born. Is an hour at a time. To be able to spend like 4 hours away, that's gonna take a month or two here. And besides which, I'm we're both fully vaccinated. My wife is finally gonna be able to get vaccinated. Obviously, the baby won't be able to, but I don't want to go out. Get COVID. It's not going to affect me, but it might affect my wife and child, and I can't do that, man. So I'm going to have to wait. Unfortunately, we might have to watch Shang-Chi on one of those websites where you have to do a lot of clicking of ads before it plays.
You do what you got to do, man.
You got your ticket already?
Huh?
Do you have your ticket already?
No, I'll go on like a fucking Tuesday. Middle of the day. I'll go with my brother or something. You want? I'll just stream it to you.
Like the good old days?
I'll FaceTime it. I'll just put it on a little tripod.
Somebody will tell me, Ben, that it would just... And by the way, on this podcast, we don't, we're not really pro stealing. So don't think we are.
No, hold on. I was telling Anthony on the podcast how when me and my friend Chris used to work at the movie theater, we bootleg one night because he was a manager, we just set the tripod up and recorded Terminator 2.
Listen,
and I sold a lot of copies of that motherfucker.
Listen, everybody, we want
that and the second Bill and Ted movie. Those are money generators for me.
Listen, everybody, we want these movies to make as much as possible. Like, just look at the backlash that happened with fucking Suicide Squad. That movie is amazing, but because it hit at a time where like COVID is doing what's doing it, and they're like, oh, it's a disappointment. Like, no, it's not a disappointment. No one's going to the movies because nobody wants to die.
Well, also, I'm not going to a movie if I can watch it at home.
Yeah,
they gave it away for free at home. For free, I mean. I already get the. I'm not paying extra for the
same
for the thing.
Kevin and I get it through our AT&T. Yeah, so we pay for the phone bill, but we kind of got to see it for free, and that that has to hurt their bottom line a little bit. I know that they're trying that shit with Scarlet Witch, fucking Black Widow. Jesus Christ,
well, everyone's getting
Black Widow was a fantastic movie.
Everyone's getting sued over that.
Yep. Yep.
Well,
Yeah, man. I'm no. Well, yeah.
we didn't talk. We kind of got on a tangent here, but did we have anything else to say about the What If?
I mean, you want to go scene by scene?
No.
It was a lot. Here's my favorite part. Here's my favorite part of the show. My favorite part was they changed the dynamic. They completely flipped it on its head. Yet they maintained the relationship between Carter and Rogers.
Right. Well,
Like,
she really.
yeah.
She liked him for him,
Yeah.
obviously. Not,
So that was really cool. I like that. That didn't change.
and he didn't have an ego when she became a super soldier. Like, he didn't get an ego.
He was only doing it
punch
because that was his part to play.
Yeah.
And that was what makes him the best Cap, is he didn't...
Maybe Captain Carter's a better Cap.
Oh my God. I'm sure there's going to be some... down the road, we'll see the two of them meet in some capacity. And that would be fantastic, however that goes down. I can't... you know how Marvel does it. They'll find some way to... They'll be, we fight. There's a villain for a common goal. We resolve our differences. Martha, Martha, Martha. Everyone's fine.
Martha. All right. I think that's enough. I'm a little burned out, and I think we don't have anything else to talk about.
Not really, no. We could just go in the weeds about a bunch of shit, but nothing that we're educated on. Which we're barely educated here anyway.
Yeah, I got an art degree, so.
It's a good art degree, though.
I don't know. I guess.
All right, buddy, let's get the hell out of here.
It doesn't imply I have. It doesn't matter what art school you go to. No one goes, man, he must be smart.
So shout out to AJ for covering me on our regular podcast. I should be back started in this week. And yeah, okay, bye.
Okay, bye.